In today's show, we're looking ahead to Friday's games, what I'm watching for, streaming options, and of course, Mick Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I am the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com and at Yahoo Sports Australia. And you can find me on Twitter as always at redrock_Beeble and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode of Locked On Fantasy Basketball is brought to you by McDonald's. Proudly serving communities since 1965. McDonald's has always been more than just a place to get tasty and affordable food. It's an unofficial community centre. A big thank you to our friends at Macca's for always being there. I'm loving it. Thank you to you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. Let's talk games. Let's talk Friday. We've got 9 of them on. The first one we're going to look at is the Warriors and the Detroit Pistons. Back-to-back for Golden State. I want to watch Jordan Poole. I'm a bit worried about where his value is going to head when Klay Thompson returns. I'm not sure he's going to remain top 100. I want to see how he goes. He's had some moments where Kerr does not have full trust in him. That's what I'm trying to say. So let's hope for a big performance. While Damion Lee started out the season strong, can he keep that going at that sort of a level? Don't know. I want to see how he works in, how that means minutes for John Kuminga and guys like that. While for the Pistons, the Flaming Galariel Stewart.
Is that you, Mr. Stewart?
Well, who the hell else do you think it'd be? Get in here, you pair of flaming galahs.
The minutes are pushing up for Stewart. The production's still not quite there, but he does remain a 12-team guy. While Jeremy Grant, name floated in rumours today in a Ben Simmons deal. Generally, when you hear that many specifics, the deal is not happening. But his last 2 games have been pretty bad. He's up and down. I think he's going to cede high usage to Cade over the coming weeks. So let's see how he can fit in as like a second banana type of player. The Pacers and the Hornets. DOMANTAS Sabonis. Can we get more than 7 shots for him? Now, I guess 7 shots is a bit unfair because he did take 10 free throws last game. So that's, 5, basically another 5 shots there. But still, the usage is well down from where it was last season. And that was always the worry about how Carlisle would use him. So we can see something improving. Well, CARIS LEVERT, can we get some shots to go in, mate, at some point? He's been frustrating. The shooting's been shocking. His usage has been great, but the other numbers have been pretty bad. How do the Pacers look? Well, for the Hornets, I want to watch Miles Bridges, but specifically his efficiency. The field goal percentage has been down, but really the free throws have been terrible as well. Can we push those back up to where they were at the beginning of the season and all of last season? Well, Terry Rozier, just trying to get an idea of where he's fitting in the lineup, in the rotation, in the pecking order offensively, how it goes with him and Hayward and Oubre, and how all those minutes and shots get distributed. The Lakers and the Celtics. Clash of the Titans. LeBron might be back. So how does LeBron's potential return, or his actual return if he does come back, impact someone like TALEN Horton-Tucker? Horton-Tucker has been awesome. Really, really good. Ball in his hands, dominating. But are you going to get that opportunity with LeBron there? That is the big, big question, isn't it? As to how he looks alongside LeBron. And then Russell Westbrook. We've seen Westbrook, I think, play a little bit better the last 2-3 games. But again, when LeBron is out there, he does not going to have the ball. So can he be valuable enough in those minutes when he is sharing the court with LeBron? Well, for the Celtics, we might have Jaylen Brown returning. So if he does return, what does that mean for Dennis Schroeder, who has been playing big minutes as a starter? How is his role going to look? Will they continue starting him if, say, Rob Williams is out? Start Horford, Tatum, Brown, Schroeder, and Smart? I think that's a possibility. And then Al Horford. Like, the numbers at the start of the season had 0 chance of continuing. They haven't continued, but where's he going to settle in? Top 60, top 90, top 110? I want to see how he looks in this game. The Magic and the Nets. The Magic just beat the Knicks. Can they do it to the Nets? I don't know. But I want to see FRANZ WAGNER, who's continued to be really solid, but not anything blowing us away. I do think he's a 12-team league guy. I do think that he may not remain that as the season goes on, as guys like Isaac and Fultz return. But I want to see if he can at least provide some big breakouts for us. While Wendell Carter Jr. had some foul trouble last game, I've been very impressed with him. He's shooting unbelievably from threes, getting good assists. He's been really, really impressive. I want to watch him and Bumba. And how do I figure out who's going to be the big minutes guy or the main minutes guy or the starter when John Isaac returns? Well, for the Nets, the Shark, Bruce Brown.
Baby shark, do-do-do-do-do.
He's useful as a streamer, especially with Joe Harris out. So what is his role looking like? Can he actually get into anything more than streaming for 12 teams? And same with Pat Mills. I think Mills is at least a short-term add in 12s with his ability to score and ability to shoot, and will probably be starting, I would guess, in Joe Harris's spot once again. Prize Picks is NBA DFS made easy. It's the best NBA DFS prop operator out there. And they don't just have the superstars in their production. They've got all the guys, all the bench guys, even with a handful of minutes. And whatever prop you can think of, points, rebounds, assists, yeah, then you've got steals and blocks and threes, whatever it is, you've got it there on Prize Picks. And when you go to make your deposit, make sure you're using our promo code NBA, and then you get a 100% instant deposit match up to $100. On Prize Picks, you pick 2 to 5 players, you get their over-unders in whatever prop you want, combine them together, and you can win up to 10 times your entry. It's just you versus those projections. That's it. That's as simple as it be. It's simple as it be. That's not English. As simple as it is. So it is daily fantasy, just the way it should be. Download the app or use the website. Put your lineup in. Take 60 seconds. Withdrawals are safe and fast. So go to prizepicks.com. Use that promo code NBA. Get that deposit match. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. The next game. The Clippers and the Pelicans. Will we have Nick Batum back? He didn't play on Thursday, so whether he returns is going to be key. Eric Bledsoe is in the middle of a decent hot streak. He is a 12-team looking guy at this stage. And then Luke Kennard, also, the value for him pushing up. Is it worth him being a flyer guy? Is there enough upside in him? I tend to think not. But if Batum is out once more, Kennard will have some value. For the Pelicans, they're pumping minutes into Josh Hart. Earlier in the year, we're getting 30 plus of Herb Jones. Herb's pushing down and getting like 23-24, while Hart's playing 36-37. It's a lot of minutes for Josh Hart. Is this a case of he gets these minutes now and then he's the one who really loses out when Zion Williamson returns? I would imagine so. Or but maybe it's Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Hart is playing pretty well. I just don't really see him as a guy that you want to develop as a starter personally, but they might not think that. Well, Devontae Graham's last couple of games have been a little bit disappointing. I'd like to see a little bit more out of him, and hopefully he's able to maintain some solid value. But he is trending in the wrong direction at this stage. The Thunder and the Bucks. Joshy Giddey put up some good scoring against the Rockets with good shooting, but was that because it was the Rockets? Very big difference playing Houston than playing Milwaukee. So I'd like to see Giddey be more aggressive, but also have those shots go in at that rate that they did against Houston. That would be great. While the big fella, Lou against Dort.
No, my son is also named Bort.
Stay tuned for the daily recap show today. Lou Dort is going to be the subject of I request elaboration. He's had 5 straight 20-plus point games, had 30 in the last game. He's doing it on some stuff that's maybe a bit unsustainable. We'll talk about that a bit later on. But watching what Dort does is going to be key. Well, for the Bucks, it was a shocking game from Grayson Allen in Chris Middleton's first game back. What's his usage look like in the second game? If he's just going to be frozen out, then he does turn into a drop. Well, Drew Holiday, I still think that Drew is a little bit of a buy low player. His value hasn't got back to where it needs to get back to. So there is some value in him. So let's just cast our eyes across to him. The Bulls and the Nuggets. Alex Caruso has put together 2 really big games in a row. I imagine he is going to continue to start and put up some solid numbers. And I believe he's a must-roster 12-team league guy. Also want to see what they do with Coby White. Will they ramp his minutes up? Can he look decent at all? Is there any chance of him sniffing 12-team value? I don't think so. But I'd like to see something that's a positive from him. While for the Nuggets, the big stiffy, Bones Highland. Watching him is going to be key. How he's used in conjunction with Rivers and Barton and Monty Morris. Morris had been playing really well without Barton as well, so we get another opportunity to look at Highland and Morris and Barton and how that trio of guards work together. For the Raptors and the Kings, we know that the Jedi OG Anunoby is out. We don't know whether Precious Achiuwa will return for this game, so how they use Chris Boucher, the wiki, and Delano Banton is going to be key. If Boucher gets 24 minutes, he is a short-term ad, but I do fear that he may not get that, especially when Precious plays. While for the Kings, Chimezie Metu was a stinker, really, in the last game that he started. I still have some faith. Well, I know he's going to start. I have some faith that he can put up a better line, so we're watching that pretty closely. And then also Buddy Hield, who's had some strong stretches of games and some piss poor ones. So, where is Buddy? Will they move Buddy into the starting lineup at all? If replacing Metu eventually? I don't know. I don't think so. Where is Buddy sitting, and can he start to do more than just score? I don't think so. The Mavericks and the Suns. No Doncic, most likely. He's listed as doubtful, so it's going to be a big Jalen Brunson game. It's probably also going to be a big Tim Hardaway Jr. game. He's been putting up some really good performances, Timmy, and he does tend to put up much better numbers when Doncic isn't there. So watching those two guards and how they work is going to be really interesting. While for the Suns, DeAndre Ayton, since he's come back from his leg injury, he's been very impressive. Good usage, good minutes, good rebound numbers, which is really, really impressive. While Chris Paul, he's been getting it done on sky-high assists and very high steal numbers. The usage and that hasn't been there for him. Yeah, let's watch to see if there's any change in that. Can he get the shooting and the scoring going a little bit? Because I'd like to think that's a little bit more reliable than coming through and getting as many steals as he has been getting, which has been great, but I don't think it's especially sustainable. Thanksgiving is coming up, and with Thanksgiving, we know that means food, and it means delicious food, but often calorie and sugar. So much of it. So, instead of your usual Thanksgiving dessert fare, why not try Built Bar? Built Bar is the delicious protein bar. It tastes like candy, tastes like dessert, but instead of 400 calories for a slice of pie, you're talking 130 calories for a Built Bar. Built Bar is covered in 100% real chocolate. It is low in carbs, low in fat, low in sugar, but high in protein, and there's so many delicious flavors. I got an email from them today saying vanilla. Vanilla cream is the new flavor. I can't wait to get my mouth onto that one. So, get yourself some Built Bars, but do it by saving 15%. And using our promo code LOCKED15 at Built.com. Built Bar is the best tasting protein bar ever. So let's go into some streamers now. Let's look at some back-to-back streamers for Friday and Saturday's games. These guys all played 2 games here. So Jeremiah Robinson-Earl for the Thunder, Cody Martin for the Hornets, Terrence Ross for the Magic, Herbalife Jones for the Pelicans, Justin Holiday for the Pacers, Chuma Okeke for the Magic, and Davion Mitchell for the Kings. These are all guys who are available, and you might be able to get, or not might, you'll be able to get 2 games out of them for the price of 1 waiver acquisition. If we're just looking at Friday's games for 9 category leagues, we've got the Shark Bruce Brown, Dorian Finney-Smith, Tony Bradley, Killian Hayes, the Dr. Gary Payton, JaVale McGee, Damian Lee, Pat Mills, and Isaiah Hartenstein. And then for deeper leagues, we're looking at Bradley Lee, Jeff Green, Dwight Powell, DeAndre Bembry, Cam Johnson, Blake Griffin, Andre Iguodala, and Cody Martin. And then lastly, in points leagues, we're going for Hart, Baisley, Crowder, Metu, Bruce Brown, Monty Morris, Chris Duarte if he returns, and JaVale McGee. That'll do it for today's What to Watch For show. Don't forget, come back for the recap of all of Thursday's action later on today. Follow this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and on the Odyssey app. Check out Locked On Sixers with Serena Winters. She's going to be covering those Ben Simmons trade rumors as well. You're definitely going to want to listen to that. So check that out, guys. We are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.